Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Okay, let me see who. Oh, by the way, um, SM, thank you so much for the Cash App from about 20 minutes ago. Thank you very much for that, SM. All right. Um, okay, and Judy Matasi, thank you so much for being here first. And TMCD, happy birthday to our church Nelly. Wishing you health, wealth, and strength. Yes, Church Nelly. Um, yeah, it is Church Nelly's birthday. Church Nelly, I think, is on the East Coast and it's after midnight there. So happy birthday, Church Nelly. Okay. Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer. Ricola. Okay. Let's see. Well, I'll dispense with all the hellos, seeing that we got off to a late start today. And let's just cut to the chase. Hey, Roni Heaney, thank you for being here. Okay. Um, Take that away. Take me away since I know you can hear me. Oh, by the way, I hope this microphone is okay. Since I'm on a different computer, I'm not using an external mic. I'm using the mic that comes with it. So but if the sound quality is off, I could always plug in the old one, the old microphone, that is. But in the meantime, I think we're okay. Ozell Dunlap, you had a birthday yesterday. We had no idea. Happy birthday. And many happy returns of the day. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay. I wonder if Church Nelly's classmate Moses or St. Peter. I wonder if Moses and St. Peter from Jerusalem High School, I wonder if they called Church Nelly to wish her happy birthday. Oh, well. Um, you can't part the sea and wish people happy birthday at the same time. So, okay. Let's get on with it, shall we? Mm. Uh-oh, hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Somebody gave me Toblerone, the Swiss chocolate bar. Oh my goodness, those are so good. But it seems like you never ever finish chewing those hazelnuts. I love hazelnuts, or as they say in Germany, hazelnuts. Love hazelnuts. Hey, Elaine Parker, Lydia Washington, Anastasia, and let's see. Okay, Winsome Jones, thank you for being here. King brushes off Omid Scobie's race row. Charles jokes, he's all right, just about as Palace considers legal action after Piers, the hoghead Morgan, named the two royals accused of the R word. So, yeah, Pierce Morgan, I guess you can say he dropped one yesterday. Dropped the deuce, huh? Since it was two of them, he dropped the deuce, literally and figuratively dropped the deuce. And the ripples have reverberated all over the place today. Now, there was a very theatrical scene on his show. I told you guys yesterday, I said, congratulations to that hoghead Pierce Morgan because he has been on a downward spiral but he finally found a way to insert himself and make himself front and center of a much larger conversation. It's unfortunate that he has that talent, but he always seems to find a way to do those things. And well, the past 48 hours has been absolutely bonkers because of him. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for being here tonight. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And there he is, His Majesty the King, King Charles. Is that a new suit he's wearing? He usually wears that grayish blue whatever thing that he usually wears, but he looks dapper. Wonder if he's got his copy of Endgame to keep him company on whatever errands or trips or whatever he's on. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And of course, he had to meet with the Nigerian. Is that the president of Nigeria? Is that the Nigerian ambassador? Is he on? I think he's overseas, right? Anyway, there he is meeting with a person of color. You know, that's where they always go whenever they get in trouble. They run to black people. American politicians do that all the time. There's certain politicians, whenever they get in trouble, it seems like they go through their Rolodex and try to figure out, okay, now who's black and who's available. And then they run to the black person just to, I don't know, I guess oh, that's the Nigerian president. Thank you so much, Amaka Amachukwa. Thank you so much for that. Oh, where did it go? Oh, there we go. Thank you very much for that. And hi, Bunny Rose. Yes, it is very typical. All right. And right here this morning, Omid Scobie, that's the show that he was on yesterday with Allison. And I don't think I've ever seen the guy before, but anyway, Omid did very well. I don't think we discussed it yesterday, but Omid did very well. And I love when Omid asks, or did he point out that people have been asking him to name sources and has he ever met this person or that person? They asked him questions that they never ask of a royal reporter. They asked him questions that they never ask of a royal reporter. And he also mentioned that his father has been threatened. And of course, his life has been threatened. Um, I think he said in the past week some 20 times. So it has been quite an emotional ride for him, but he's been very poised. He's been on message. He hasn't let them ruffle his feathers at all. They have tried in vain to get him on the record with the big I gotchas and such. And so far, he has been unflappable and he has been very forthcoming. And later, well, actually, today, I forget which program he was on, they were trying to get him to go on the record to apologize. And he said, in so many words, he said that he's not the one that needs to apologize, that this leak is under investigation. He has accused someone of breaking the law, releasing that name in the UK. I think we all know who that was, but he has accused someone of having broken the law to make the names public, which they should not have done. Whether or not it was available to people in the Netherlands is not the point. The laws are very well defined, and someone managed to break the law. Someone who is not likely to ever face punishment for it, as they say they have vetted the exposure with their solicitor or lawyer or whatever. And I suspect there won't be anything to come of it. But anyway, moving on. There is Omid Scobie yesterday as he went to the television show this morning, which is based in the UK, and looking fit and trim and ready to take on the world. Yes, he did. He did check them. He really did. They did I TB? What did I say? What did I say? You know, I only get something right about twice a year, just like a broken clock. They say a broken clock is right at least twice a day. Well, I get something right at least twice a year. But even if we're not talking about the same thing, let me just say that was fully uh, planning to get the book. Uh, I didn't pretend otherwise. And I know there's a lot of squaddies that were, as a matter of fact, I have to say this. I was listening on Spaces, and, it's a very heated debate that happens on Spaces every so often. And while I won't share the names or the exact content of those conversations because, they deserve to be respected and in place and not shared. But it turns out that there have been some squaddies that have been going after Omid Scobie. But then again, it may have been people pretending to be Sussex Squad people. We don't know, but that seems to be where it comes from. I don't doubt that there may have been at least a couple of squaddies that have confronted him, and that is very unfortunate. He's a writer, he's a journalist, he has a right to write a book. And I understand that we are all extremely protective of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. At least I'd like to believe that most of us are. And sometimes the level of protection or what is considered or deemed necessary or what we decide is protecting them, um, it varies from person to person. And I, one thing that I try to avoid with young people, no matter how anxious I am, I try not to deny people's right to make mistakes or take chances because that is part of the human experience is the risk of it. And I said from the beginning that the book is not necessarily the best thing for the Sussexes. It's not without risk, but I was very keen to see some of this information brought to the forefront and exposed, and hopefully that there could be some conversations, maybe take a bit of a shine for those two usurpers that are destined to sit on the throne. I was hoping to kind of take a bit of a shine off of them because they have been getting the ultimate free ride, and that bothers me. Now, obviously, I don't want that to happen to the detriment of the Sussexes, but everybody's telling the story from the various palaces' point of view. Everybody's telling the story based on how they can further perpetuate the popularity, what little there is, of the royal family, but nobody is telling Harry and Meghan's story. And of course, for someone of his influence, Omid Scobie has been one of the very few royal reporters that has at least been fair. And isn't that what Meghan said? I didn't expect it to be easy, but I was at least expecting it to be fair. So here is someone who, by his measure, is being fair with the Sussexes. And unfortunately, some people are going after him from the Sussex squad. Right? That's their right to do that. I can't tell you how to love or support someone, but it's heartbreaking to me. It really is heartbreaking because, as I said with the kid at the Beyonce concert and maybe a couple of other occasions, a lot of the squaddies go on the attack, and then we have to try to figure out whether that is, a real Sussex supporter, or is that someone posing as a Sussex supporter? But either way, the face of it is there's the Sussex squad acting worse than the Derangers, going after yet another person. And that is jarring. That is very sad to me because I'd like to think that most of us were better than that, but we there's a few of us that want to wrap the Sussexes in bubble wrap and then drop them down in those office store peanuts and then cotton wool, and we want to put them in packing material and keep them away from the experiences that we feel they should avoid, or that we are afraid for them. But life just doesn't work like that. And so there you have the kid humanizing the Sussexes by showing them at a concert, and the initial reaction was attack, 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 right? And that's not the first time that happened. So Omid's book is going to be a part of the permanent record. There are going to be people that will reference that book. I keep hearing chapter 7, chapter 7. Chapter 7 lays bare, according to one of the people that has read the book already. Chapter 7 lays bare the brutality, the pain of the racism that Meghan has suffered. And they even said, I don't know how she survived that. I don't know how she survived that. And if it can be made available to people in a way that more people will listen to the story, will be aware of the mistreatment. I can't speak for the Sussexes, but the only thing that I can say that explains how I feel about this is if I came home and I found out that a relative or a friend or a partner has burned down the house, if I find out that that happened because you were trying to make dinner, well, I'm going to miss that stuff, but I hope nobody got hurt. But if I thought it was something malicious, then that would be a problem. Mistakes will happen. Um, the only way to avoid anything is to stay home, to pull the curtains, close the blinds, lock the doors. But that's not how life works. So there's going to be people writing stories all the time, and maybe, just maybe, this is the one thing that will, I guess, penetrate that invisible contract, that wall that seems to make everything go the royal family's way. Maybe other royal reporters will find out that they can make a living and tell the other side of the story. Hopefully that is the case. I hope so. That's all I want. Is it's not that I'm after revenge, I'm just after the truth. And I want the truth to be made available to more people instead of the handful of us that follow these things. I want people to understand why the Sussex Squad exists in the first place, why there are so many people so emotional about the um, the way the Sussexes were treated. I mean, we had all of that happen at the funeral, but I think a lot of people at the Queen's when they had the Queen's funeral, I don't think a lot of people understood how we got to that point. But it's just, to me, it's very important that the story is told. And I don't want to see the Sussex's future endeavors derailed. But God, I want to get to the truth. And I want people to know what Meghan experienced while she was in the United Kingdom. I want people to know what she experienced. Now, let me see. I see there's a few. Let me see. Leg says it is all so transparent. They are literally using the revealing of the royal races to divert from the chapter of Will leaking to the press against Harry. Thank you for that, Legs. And Legs goes on to say, here, can we take a moment to point out that all these royal reporters knew who they were the whole time, but instead chose to call Meghan a liar. Yes, that is important. And abused her. Thank you, Legs. Exactly. They keep saying, well, we already knew it, but you didn't report it. You knew it, but you didn't report it. And as Omid said, the Royal Rota, the pack of reporters that follows the royal family, in so many words, he said, there's no pretense of objectivity. They pretty much, in order to stay within that group, they have to tell the story in a way that is acceptable to the royal family. Otherwise, they are going to ask you, how come you're doing something different from the other reporters? And then lastly here, you can interview an author and not read the book. Yes. And that's the guy that was on this morning. He admitted that he had not read the book. Allison had not read the book. So why are you here? If you haven't read the book, what are you what credibility do you have at this point if you have not read the book? But yet there they were challenging him from the accounts that they got from the newspapers, which by and large are inaccurate. They bear no resemblance to the book. Omid said that if they would have read the book, page 2, he had declared that the Sussexes were irrelevant to the future of the monarchy. They're not working royals, as they say. And then by page, I believe he said 144, that's the first time he mentions Meghan. So if they had read the book, they would know that, but they didn't read the book. They are attacking him for what was interpreted in on the pages of newspapers or online sites or whatever. That is what they use as the basis of their attack, of their query about his integrity, is they're using newspaper articles. They're using the what do you call it, the spin, if you will, the interpretation of newspaper columns. They haven't actually read it. They say, oh, well, I thumbed through it, but no, I didn't read it. So why are you challenging him about something you didn't read? And Oben says, did you read the book? No, I didn't read it, but I'm just basing on. Then why are you talking to him? How are you challenging him about a book you didn't read? It's only 400 pages. Surely that's not so monumental. It's only 400 pages. There are some people who have read the book in a day and a half. So why are you challenging him about something you have clearly not read? But they're doing it anyway. And worst of all, they'll get away with it. Thank you so much, Lex. Endgame was very good. There are nuggets in there that I have never heard of. Endgame reinforces Spare and shows the evil mindset of the firm, the royal family, and tabloids. Thank you, Lorna Williams. That's the point of it, is that it should give you reinforce what you already know. first and foremost. And then, of course, luckily, there are a few nuggets in there that people have not heard, right? And because the tabloids and the royal family are in possession of the bully pulpit, they could sit up there and say whatever they want to say day after day. But the one time somebody goes against the grain, it is a national tragedy. It is a threat to the democracy. It's a threat to the monarchy. You can't have it both ways. Somebody has to be able to um, inject the truth in there without being crucified. I mean, you have Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has done two terrible things. First, there's some veiled threat against Omid Scobie and referring to him as whatever that thing was. And then the second thing is he blurts the names out. When there was an uncertainty, I think it was easier on people to interpret it the best way. I mean, all right, I am kind of glad that we know, but it doesn't change my belief that there was a racist trope or a racist act, if you will, verbally against an unborn child, and of course the mother and even the father, because that is his child. So that did happen, but they're still trying to say that Meghan lied. Well, now they can't deny it because you have the tabloid media say, "Oh, I knew about it," as Legs pointed out. Yeah, I knew about it. I knew those names. You even have some say, "I wasn't sure, but that's now I know." So at least it's out there. At least it's out there. Again, I don't want the Sussexes derailed, but I feel like a weight has been lifted because they have successfully gaslit and lied and projected lies to avoid the conversation. And of course, when it comes to the United States, racism is the original sin of this republic. That is our original sin is slavery and racism. Slavery and racism. And oh, let us not forget a genocide, but okay, so there's those three. There was the genocide, the theft of land, slavery, and racism. And when it comes to the UK, well, I don't suppose you can go back to the very beginning, but somewhere along the line, there was the sin of slavery and racism, and until they address it, just like reparations, reparations are not going to go away. The conversation about reparations are not going to go away because you do a little smile and a wave. You pay reparations to some and not to others. You pay reparation to the slave owners and not the slaves. The ancestors of the slaves not only receive no compensation, but they don't even have land. They don't have rights to the best land, not for agriculture, not for the waterfronts or the beaches or housing. They don't have the best of anything. Don't even have the best prospects for a good job. So there's all of that. And Harry was trying to tell them that if you're going to really deal with the Commonwealth, these are things that need to be a topic of discussion. And fortunately for the Sussexes, they got out of there before the Queen died, before everything seemed to blow up. I'm so glad that Harry and Meghan are not being used to soften the appearance of the empire with the Commonwealth countries. See, God will do for us what we cannot do for ourselves, what we won't do for ourselves. And he or she removed them from that situation and now their hands are clean. Their consciences are clean. They have nothing to do with helping the empire project its power. I'm so glad for that. Lex says, bring in Kate to heal. uh, Thank you, Lex. Okay, let's move on. So right here, the Telegraph, it says, exclusive, Meghan wrote to the king over racism concerns. You can see Victoria Ward wrote this back on the 21st of April, 2023. And this is what people are saying. Meghan was very bright to conduct this conversation through letters because that is hard proof evidence that the discussion was had. The Duchess of Sussex expressed her concerns about unconscious bias in the royal family in a letter to the king. Rather, the Telegraph can reveal it is understood that the correspondence was sent in the wake of the 2021 Oprah Winfrey interview, in which the Duchess alleged that a member of the royal family, had speculated about the color of her unborn son's skin. A source has said that the Duchess feels she has not received a satisfactory response to her concerns. The letter have emerged just weeks after Meghan confirmed her decision not to attend the coronation on May 6th and thought to be one of the factors behind the decision. So, yeah, and it's weird because it seems like that was a decade ago, and I barely remember that, but I do kind of remember that there said that there was letters exchanged. It is understood that the letter was sent in reply to one was sent in reply to one from the king. He is believed to be the only senior member of the family to make contact with the Duchess after the interview. He is believed to be the only senior member of the royal family. And I think that one thing that we have to stop being certain of is whether or not there are conversations or back channel communication going on between family members, because we just don't know. When they say they haven't spoke, then maybe they emailed or wrote to one another or whatever. But you just can't know for sure. The Prince of Wales, he is understood to have expressed sadness over the chasm that had emerged between the two sides of the royal family. I suppose they're talking about William when they say that. I got to remember the timeline here, but I believe that's William. He is said to be disappointed that the Duke and Duchess felt a need to make such a high-profile, damaging that is allegation. In the interview, the Duchess told Winfrey that there had been concerns and conversations about how dark his Archie's skin might be when he's born. Now, and see, Dickie Arbiter, when he was on with Piers Morgan, he said that it was a lie because Meghan said the conversation took place before Archie was born. And then he said minutes later, Harry comes to the interview and say the conversation took place before they were married. But as you can see here, plural, conversations, plural. Not one isolated conversation, but conversations. Now, whether Dickie Arbiter was deliberately trying to misrepresent what was said during the Oprah interview, I don't know, but conversations were had, and concerns, meaning that someone was alarmed about Archie's skin color. It'd be different if they said, well, there seemed to have been curiosity about Archie's skin tone. But Meghan said concerns, conversations, and how will that look? Now, from yesterday, you guys, I am still convinced that it was William and Kate, allegedly, that had this conversation. I don't believe it was Charles. I never believed it was Charles. I just don't. Um, it wouldn't make sense if Charles was the one who wrote the letter. I'm not saying it's impossible. And that's the funny thing about this is that even with everything that has happened in the past 48 hours, how is it we still can't be 100% sure? How is that? How is it we have gone from a member of the royal family to two members of the royal family that were embroiled in this concern and conversation about Archie's skin tone? So the speculation is that Charles, now that he's king, it doesn't matter what is said about him, but that Charles is taking one for the team so that it won't tarnish William's prospects, or I'm sorry, not prospects. I mean, he's going to be king. It doesn't tarnish his image before he gets to the throne. That is what the big assumption is. I was always convinced William, Willie Leaks, always convinced of that. It just seemed like something that would have been said maliciously by a sibling to someone who obviously would become very emotional about it and share it with their wife. Someone that they would want to feel very insecure about their future and that of their wife and their unborn child. So that is why I was leaning in that direction. But um, they say Charles, and then of course there. Some of you guys said yesterday that someone told Piers Morgan to say it was Charles. So we can't totally ignore that possibility that someone told him to do that to protect William. So if that was the case, then probably he wasn't talking to Camilla. I mean, when he said that he was thanked by a member of the royal family, he was in front of Kensington Palace, not Clarence House. He stood at the gates of Kensington Palace and said that he had been thanked by a member of the royal family. So, unfortunately, it still leaves the question open. Now, I don't care what anybody say. I am going to allege that it had to be Kate, and with almost a certainty, I'm going to say Willie and Kate. YM Droid says, "How crazy is that? The answer might be all of them." Woo! Woo! Bravo! Did not see that one coming. Woo! I haven't let out a sound like that since I watched Dynasty. That's how I used to watch Dynasty. Every time it was like a big scene and the cliffhanger, I'd let out woo. So yeah. YM Droid, that is amazing. I didn't think about that. How come it couldn't be all three of them? Alarmed and concerned. Yes, Harry, that would be upsetting. That would be upsetting because think about this. Like what am I trying to say? You think you know your family, and Harry was very naive. He believed everything that was promised. He thought that he and Meghan would be free to work with the Commonwealth and that they could do their thing independent of the rest of the family in the service of the Queen, and that they would do all of these wonderful, marvelous things with the Commonwealth and even possibly go and live in a Commonwealth country. Harry believed whatever it was they promised him before they were married. Willie Leaks, of course, was that lone voice in the family that was like, let's not get carried away. Well, we have to see how it goes. Well, I wouldn't get my hopes up, right? And Harry did not hear him. I suspect Harry didn't hear William's doubts, right? He probably just did not hear it. Even now, I think Harry is more inclined to want to believe in his brother. In spite of all of the bad that has happened, he still wants to believe in his brother and his father. And time after time, I hear a voice in my head that says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I keep hearing that voice because they were showing him and he just didn't believe it. He had this naive idea that in some way, form, or fashion, his family was just like anybody else's family. I don't mean literally. I mean, obviously, he knows his family is different, but they led him to believe they promised. And I know Harry, I'm telling you, I just know this in my heart. I wasn't there, but Harry made them promise certain things and they would not deliver. They let him believe up until the point that they got married, that everything was going to be okay. This is not going to be a repeat of Diana. This is not going to be a repeat of any of those terrible things that happened in the past. You're not going to be Princess Margaret. You're not going to be Duke of Windsor. You're not going to be Diana. You're not going to be any of those things. And instead, they either have or tried to do all of those things. Up into the car chase in New York, they have tried everything. Meghan goes to a baby shower in New York. Somehow it's leaked, and that was nearly a tragedy. So, taking away the security, cutting off the money. I don't know how much more they could have done. It's frightening to think about. But all of those things happened with the family that he so much desperately wanted to trust and believe in. And they showed him who they are, especially his own brother. His brother and his sister-in-law, Cain and Unable, they showed him good too. Oh well, I mean, it's very sweet and tragic at the same time. Harry being such a dreamer and believing in humanity, or even worse, believing in his family, only to find out how treacherous and evil they really are. But at least he had the good sense to get out of there. He had the good sense to get out of there. I don't think Meghan would have left without him, and I don't think he would have stayed if she left. I don't think either way. They were going to be together wherever they go. They're going to be together. I mean, at a certain point, I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine you love someone and you would want to walk away from whatever and leave them there to suffer through it? I mean, I know people do it all the time, but it just wasn't in the cards. They were going to be together here or there, and they're still together in spite of everything that has been thrown at them. So, Palace Source Royal Aid. Palace Source Royal Aid. One and the same, aren't they? Not to say that this is the Palace Source or the Royal Aid, but everything that has happened seems to have been to their advantage. All of the leaks, all of the briefing, all of the subplots, the palace intrigue, all of it seems to have been to their advantage. You know, you could point at Camilla and Charles up until a certain point, but where they left off, what happens? The brother and the sister in law, they pick up. Where the other two left off, these two picked up. It's a shame, isn't it? Scary, really scary, that his brother would be so malicious. I mean, just even if there was any doubt about any of the other stuff, consider a brother who takes a £1 million payoff from a tabloid and allegedly in exchange for dropping any possible lawsuit, you allegedly promise that I'll make sure my brother's not going to come after you. We won't let the palace lawyers come after you. Just consider it done, right? So he took the $1 million and did with it what he will, he and Kate. Meanwhile, Harry's being discouraged. They even had him go to Sandringham to stare him down, to get all upside his head, looking all at his scalp and everything, trying to coerce him into dropping any lawsuit against the tabloids. It's a suicide mission. It's a lost cause. Why would you? I wouldn't bother if I was you, right? Isn't that what they said? Don't even bother. Meanwhile, William got whatever he got. We don't know what Charles got in exchange except for favorable headlines for that old mattress that he's married to. What did Harry get? Nothing. Harry was to be sacrificed at the altar of his stepmother for the convenience of his father, and then if that's not enough, the final blows would come from his brother and his sister-in-law. That seems to be the script. That seems to be the script. So Meredith said it's been an incredible month or week, she said. Weird to have to do media literacy about an article featuring yourself. And she said the video is coming later. I mean, right off the bat, misleading headline, but we'll get there. And so the misleading headline was Turnip Toff included video by internet sleuth and the royal correspondent he so critical of. Well, anyway, they seem to believe that, well, the article would lead you to believe that Meredith made one TikTok video that somehow changed the entire direction of the manuscript for the book. That is the what you're supposed to infer from the article. Now, what's in the article, I'll never know because I'm not going to bother with it. The book that TikTok wrote, that's what the headline says. Omid Scobie admits research on the so-called turnip toffs included video by internet sleuth and the royal correspondent he's so critical of. Correspondence, okay, that's the same thing at the top over there. But then let's see what the small print there says. Omid Scobie has admitted to using TikTok from a young American internet sleuth to research the turnip toffs for his explosive book, Endgame, which came out this week. The author, 42, cited online creator Meredith Constant in the notes section in reference to chapter 8, which is titled Gloves Off, Prince William, Heir to the Throne. So if you watch the video, Meredith explains her credentials, um, and how she got involved with the book, or the involvement in the book in reference to that. And she said the article is misleading. Um, One thing that she said that I will make sure that I take note of is that the Daily Fail reached out to her to use her video and to use some other stuff, she said, and she told them no. She said that I'm already giving away my what do you call it, my material to a social media giant, which of course is YouTube and TikTok and all that. She said, but the Daily Mail, no. She said you have to be very careful what you agree to. She said, because giving them to the permission to do that, then of course they would use her video as one of their videos. Because remember, Daily Mail is on TikTok, they're on YouTube, they have social media platforms, and they wanted to have the right to repeatedly use and dissect and abuse her material any way they choose. And she told them no. Um, very smart, very smart. So there you have it. But yeah, but that is the very strange thing that happened. And she said that she's still like really in shock that her grandfather's passing is even mentioned in the Daily Mail. So they, uh-oh, sorry about that. Uh-oh, don't want to get a copyright. I was trying to see if I could find that Meredith video. I forget how long it is, but let me see if I can find the one from today. I'll share just a little bit of it. We'll see how far we go with this.
Context is very important. So I looked it up in the book. This is from page 391 on my Kindle from Prince Harry's Spare. Quote, the question of how to pay for a home and security kept Meg and me awake at nights.
Okay, that's not the one.
We could always spend... I want to talk about this Tadler piece, and I know a lot of people have wanted me
that's
to
not the one either.
Tadler piece on Kate
Sorry.
Middleton.
I wasn't sure that I was even going to talk about any of those today, so you have to pardon me. But let me see.
A few days have passed, and I finally feel ready to give my thoughts on the whole issue surrounding the Dutch translation of Omid Scobie's book, Endgame. Earlier this week, the Dutch royal journalist Rick Evers made a video pointing out that the Dutch version had passages that claimed that King Charles was one of the royals in question, along with Catherine, Princess of Wales. In the English version of the book, there is no mention of these names. In fact, what Omid says is that laws in the United Kingdom prevent me from reporting who they are. And then he goes on to write that he wanted to make sure that Meghan knew that there was no ill will or casual prejudice present when the two people spoke about his future grandson. The Dutch version of the book has been pulled from shelves, and there's currently an inquiry underway into the naming of Charles and Catherine in the book. Buckingham Palace declined to respond to The Guardian, saying, quote, it's not something we are going to comment on, end quote. Scobie was on ITV News this morning, in which he said, quote, never submitted a book that had their names in it, end quote. Because the thought did cross my mind, did an earlier version of this book go out to foreign publishers? That also didn't quite make sense to me, because Omid would have worked on this book with his editors and with the legal team. There's no reason why any other foreign publishers that were going to print this book in other translations would have had an earlier version of the book. It just doesn't really make sense. Now, I don't speak Dutch. I can't speak to if this was a clear translation issue or not. Hopefully, we will receive updates about this ongoing investigation, because it all feels real weird. It's also worth noting that while the passages in the Dutch version name King Charles, apparently there's more of a passing reference to Catherine in regards to the allegations. So I think that's just worthwhile to point out. Here's another interesting part from The Guardian. Quote, he said he never used the word racist and that this book referred to unconscious bias. He claimed other Fleet Street journalists had known those names for a long time. Omid said, quote, "The reality is, though, that this is information that is not just privy to me. Journalists across..."
Okay. One more. Let me see if this is it. Oh, it's not playing.
Fleet Street have known these names.
Oh, well,
I'm going to use this comment as a jumping off point because in my initial video of my review of Endgame, there is some confusion over the world of royal reporting, which if you read the book, particularly the chapter...
My brother recently asked me if I can roll my arm.
All right. So that was not the one I was looking for, but God, that was interesting. Okay. Thank you for indulging me. Raquel's son, long time no see. Sometimes those who have no royal blood line are worse than those with, in other words, Camilla, the courtiers, etc. Yeah, you know, I learned that from Downton Abbey that sometimes the staff, the courtiers, the staff, even the housekeepers can have more snotty, erudite ideas than the actual family they work for. Rohini says, I am cautious about people like Meredith. I usually like her content, but I have not been watching her for a very long time. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So, Prince William's views King Charles III reign as transitional and is in heir mode, experts say. Well, there's been conversations about William challenging his father, and we spoke a bit about that yesterday. That he seems to, like, for instance, after, oh goodness, what was that? He did after the day after the coronation, or was it the day or the 2 days? Anyway, when Charles should have been the headline, William actually gave an interview that would kind of push Charles off the front page. And of course, there's the famous Kate going to the flower show in a pink dress, and she wasn't actually scheduled to be there. And that kind of took the shine away from Camilla. Same as with the state dinner, people have said that everybody knew that Camilla was going to wear red, and then Kate comes, the day before with that shocking red cape, and Camilla the next day. Obviously, that outfit was planned well in advance. Ruby jewelry, red dress, all of that. And of course, Kate was behind the candelabra. There is a good chance that there's a war between the two houses. Of course, they're not going to be very public about it, but that little stunt before the flower show, before the state dinner, don't forget, just in case you're thinking that this may not mean anything, Kate could not wear a real tiara to the coronation. She wore some type of headdress that looked like laurel wreaths or ivy leaves. She wore something that was made out of like sewn beads, almost like a bridal applique, like something you would put on a wedding dress. That's what she wore on her head. Also, the old tiara, the very dull daisy, whatever tiara that she wore to the state dinner for South Korea. Not the most attractive tiara. And, it looks like some kind of preschool, not preschool, but like nursery school project or something. But yeah, that seems logical to me. It seems as though they're putting Kate in her place. Now, it may not necessarily be at the request or orders from Camilla. It may be the courtiers, which, as someone just said, sometimes they seem to be a little tougher than the actual family. And that could be the case. Is it could be a directive from the household staff more than it is from Camilla or Charles. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But it just does. It seems weird to me because Camilla would probably be the one to decide what jewelry is going out and to whom, right? So if that's the case, Camilla, who had to suffer through those years of seeing magazines saying Queen Kate and Kate's ready to be queen and all that kind of stuff, surely there is some tension there. YM Joy says, but Camilla planned to flash one of her legs. Yeah, but did Camilla plan to flash one of her legs? No, I think if Camilla flashes anything, it would probably be a little further north than the legs, because she's always wearing those dresses with the zippers down the front, which I think is vulgar and disturbing for a woman of her maturity. But she always seems to love something that has a big zipper up in the front. And who knows, maybe it's because she just can't get to the bathroom fast enough and she doesn't want to ask for help. But I don't know. I don't know. But thank you so much for the super sticker. Okay. Oh, no. And while I was preparing today, look at what I found. An oldie but goodie. Look at what I found. Take a look there. There's Kate with one of her spaceships landed in a patch of flowers hat. And of course, Camilla with something big enough to go over her hair. But take a closer look. Tried to play it off by coughing up some of those unfiltered cigarette deposits in her lungs. But I'm telling you, woo! Yeah. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, Blondie. We hear you loud and clear. If for no other reason than you just cleared some tobacco from the lining of your lungs, we hear you loud and clear. Take a look at that. See there? You almost didn't even notice it because of the shadow. And you take a closer look and something just says, uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, just thought I'd share that with you in case you've never seen this. Now, the Derangers, here's one of the Deranger accounts. You're well protected, Catherine. We love you. Do you mean to tell me that the Queen, that she's shamed and embarrassed by jumping in and out of the car with her outfit all the way up to her whatever, that's the one that's being protected by the ghost of Lizzie? Really? You think the ghost of Lizzie is somehow watching over her? Well, you know what? Like I say, it was one of the Derangers, and they could think of some of the darndest things. Those Derangers can think of some of the darndest things. And this is one of their more interesting. I couldn't believe it. When this came up on my feed, food began to come up the back of my throat. I'm like, ugh. I could taste that acid in the back of my throat. I'm like, ugh. I don't think so. I don't think so. As Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, not on your knife. Not on your knife. Not on your knife, sweetie. Not on your knife. But yeah, that was the little something that someone posted today, that the Queen is up there and I assume it's up there. Looking. Let me. Speaking of glances, I wasn't sure that I would find this that easy, but let me show you another one that you may have never seen before. How's this? How's this? In the Telegraph Herald article dating from December 1995, royal correspondent Robert Jobson quoted the sovereign's friend saying Camilla believed marrying the royal would redeem her tarnished reputation. Yeah, right. The pair first met and fell in love in 1972. Against all odds, they officially wed in 2005 in a civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall, meaning that the church would not dare marry those two, fornicators, sinners, adulterers. Yeah, I guess we'll go with adulterers. That the church would not dare marry those two adulterers. So they were forced to go to the Guildhall. And the queen, of course, being the head of the church, did not think that that was her place to be there. And so eventually they were wed at the Guildhall and had a prayer service at a, at the St. George Chapel. Yeah, so that's how they did it. But yeah, the queen thought it not wise to attend the ceremony, given her role as head of the church. Now, I think this is another version. You can see right here, Camilla was not meant to be queen consort and agreed to different, peculiar. Title just before the second wedding. Now, what that means, and of course, you could see Harry is staring her down. That's why I have this, is because Harry, I don't know. I remember they said that Camilla was always nervous or whatever when Harry would stare at her, which I don't believe that that's the case. Harry has been too nice to her, if you ask me. But you see, William has diverted his eyes to the floor, but Harry is watching that old thing like a hawk, that old buzzard. Yeah, he's looking at that old buzzard like a hawk. But yeah, so there's a better view of it. But yeah, I'm watching you, old lady. Let me see. King Charles and Camilla Queen Consort's relationship has been a sore subject for the royal family for years. Their affair tainted the firm's image and made them less favorable royal members. Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, that's an oldie but goodie right there. Okay, let me take a look at a couple of your comments here. That is still very funny. Let's see here. Leg says, didn't Kate look at Meghan at the Jubilee? Wow. What's the word? Oh, thank you so much for that, Legs. Yeah, Kate, when she kind of tried to do that little slide, look over her shoulder. Yes, she did. Yeah, Kate did cut her eyes over at Meghan. Uh-huh. Yes, I remember that. She was wearing yellow. And Meghan was sitting there in front of the guy with the kilts, the queen's right hand. Yeah, Kate did do that little sly look, which was so sly, everybody and their mama could see it. All right. So, Meghan's revenge. That is what the Sun is saying. The Sun is saying that this is Meghan's revenge. Duchess leaked 2 race row names. Of course, that's not true. Payback after her rift with royals. Again, not true. But they are taken as legs, and so many other people have said that they are using this diversion so that you don't pay attention to the other things that are in the book, which is unfortunate. And poor Omid, instead of talking about the book, he has to try to defend himself from the accusations that he leaked the name. So it's the same thing that happened after the Oprah interview. Meghan said, if you guys recall, Meghan said after the interview that she thought that people would be upset and shocked by the fact that she, had nearly unalived herself. But no, that was not a topic of conversation. They deemed that to be a lie. And of course, they decided to use the term race or racism or races. None of that ever came from the Sussexes. The Sussexes never used race. They said that there was concerns about the baby's skin color. It was the press, the tabloid media, that started beating the drum about race. And I really, at this point, you guys, I promise you, this is not the conversation that I want to have. I would rather talk about what the Sussexes are doing next. But I'm obliged to explain and defend because I don't I don't want people to get the wrong idea, especially people that are not aware of what's been happening with the Sussexes and the royal family. I'm obliged to defend them because otherwise, by doing nothing, that's like giving aid and comfort to the enemy, and I'm not going to do that. So, with all seriousness, I would rather talk about something else, but this is the topic right now, and I'm not going to let the tabloid medias in not in within my orbit. I'm not going to let the tabloid media get away with this again. So my hope is that maybe there's some new people that are trying to figure out what it's all about, and you just happen to come upon this channel or any of the other Sussex friendly spaces, and you can learn exactly what the media and the royal family has been up to the best of my ability. I will explain it, but for those of us who already know better, I appreciate you being here just the same. Okay. Right. Exactly. That's where it started. The tabloids are very good at defining the story or the event in a way that will get them clicks and engagement, and of course, divert the reader or the viewer away from the truth, away from the actual story. They are very adept at that. And it is a very difficult thing to fight against, not impossible. This book, the timing of it is I'll leave that to other people to decide if the timing is good or bad. I can't say just yet if the timing is good or bad, because I tend to want to believe that the glass is half full. I'm always very optimistic, and some of the things that have occurred, and I see like a lot of squatties are nervous and upset and ready to beat the snot out of somebody for daring to say this or do that. I'm always looking to see if there's something good that is going to come out of it. I'm always hoping that because not everything that bad, every bad thing that happens does not mean that it's the end of the world, and it doesn't mean that there isn't some good there somewhere. It's not always obvious, but I'd like to believe that more often than not, some positive change is going to happen. And so, yes, we're having this conversation. It's before Christmas. I'd rather talk about the Sussex family Christmas card if there was one. But unfortunately, right now, I am up to my elbows in a battle to get the truth out. So that is going to monopolize things until it doesn't. So I don't care for that part of it. But um, if you turn your back on the tabloids, I promise you, they will define the story in a way that suits them. It will make them money, and it will make they will try to make the honest brokers out to be liars. That is what they'll do. And they have been trying to pull, not trying to, but they have been pulling Harry and Meghan into this further and further. Omid declared the book is not about Harry and Meghan. But they have taken one paragraph and turned it into a complete multi-volume. They've taken one paragraph and turned it into the Encyclopedia Britannica. Yep, from one paragraph, they have built an empire on one paragraph. So the other magazine, Duchess Kate, obsessed with Meghan, stealing her style and trolling her online, jealous of her fame and freedom. The pressure to be perfect changed her. There's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to it, as a matter of fact. I don't know how else to put it, but to say that Kate has been literally whitewashing the woman of color. It is like Elvis Presley stealing black people's music, or borrowing, or using, or appropriating. She has been appropriating Meghan, her look, her fashions. They have been appropriated by Kate. That's it. She has been appropriating. There's no other way to say it. And so if you Google tan coat, if you Google Meghan Markle tan coat, Kate's going to pop up. And I know a lot of squatties say, well, if we talk about it, I don't give a rat's behind. They are whitewashing Meghan's image. Meghan Markle tan coat. Okay, I just looked up Meghan Markle's tan coat. Now, where is Kate? There she is, right there. There's Kate. That's 1, 2. You see what I mean? You Google Meghan Markle, do just what I just did. Meghan Markle tan coat, and Kate pops up. The guy that they hired to help them on social media, I'm not saying that it's his fault, but I'm not saying that I believe that it's not his fault. But that is deliberate, and it makes me very angry, and I am angry about it. I am very angry about it because it's a deliberate trolling. It is trolling. It is malicious, and it is abusive. It is trolling. It is a microaggression. And I suppose if I was to say how I honestly felt about the book, and I've said this already, that it will take the shine, that it would tarnish, that it will take that gilded flower, the English rose, and expose it for what it really is. I am looking forward to that. I am glad that that's happening. I am pleased that that is happening. So let me say, as you know, as well as I can say it, I'm very disturbed that this book seems to have pulled the Sussexes in. I don't like it. I hate the fact that the book is possibly derailing an announcement of some sort, or anything. And instead of us thinking about Christmas, we're talking about this book. But if I also tell the truth, I am so glad that the English Rose, the so-called perfect one, Catherine the Great, is being exposed. I'm glad for it because she's been getting a free ride at Meghan's expense. She has been getting this free ride by the tabloids using the old good versus evil. And Kate, of course, is the one who benefits from it. You take someone very idle-minded, dull, lacking in talent, lacking in any type of, what is the word I'm looking for? Well, no, not that one. Confidence, yes. Lacking in self-confidence, maybe even lacking in self-esteem. And they have built this persona that Kate can do no wrong. They have created that by downplaying, lying, projecting upon Meghan. And from Duchess of Successes here, she says the British tabloids have turned this whole thing into a crap show, and it never had to be. They're whipping up drama for their own pockets. The other royals will learn all they care about is money. Thank you so much for that. And that's exactly what's happening here. Much to my disappointment, they have, and it didn't take long. It did not take long to make it about Harry and Meghan. As it says, revenge, Meghan's revenge. That is what the Sun has put. And remember, people don't have to buy the paper. They don't have to read it. They've already sold the story right there. Meghan's revenge. You don't even have to read it, because if you know anything about the saga, you already know what they're going to say. They're going to try to make the case that Meghan somehow, with her connection to Omid Scobie, has orchestrated this entire thing. As a matter of fact, there was even one harebrained idea some years ago about Harry's forthcoming book. Meghan actually wrote the book. Harry didn't write it. Meghan, she's a Hollywood actress, and she always gets because it's always what Meghan wants. And Meghan wrote the book, right? Isn't that what she was saying? And because she has repeated it again and again, there are people that believe that Meghan wrote the book, that the whole concept of the book was Meghan's idea. Now, much to Harry's credit, I believe more people are less likely or less inclined to believe that, but the hardcore, sick-minded derangers have accepted the whole thing chapter and verse. Meghan wrote that book. Yep, Meghan was up all night with a number 2 pencil, a spiral notebook, writing that book. Turned it over to the people. And wait, when they came to get the manuscript, instead of sending Harry's manuscript, Meghan had somehow substituted her own. Meghan had substituted her own manuscript. As soon as they called from the gate and said, DHL, FedEx, and Meghan pushed Harry down and slid down the railing, ran through their 100-room villa and ran to the door. And instead of giving the one that Harry had, she put his in the big flower pot and pulled hers out and gave that to the and gave that to the driver. And that's how it happened. So poor Harry is totally unaware of it. Yes, he can fly an Apache helicopter, but he cannot safely deliver a manuscript. That is what happened. But for Meghan, we'll never know what Harry really thinks. So that is the way the tabloids work. They create a whole. I could work at a tabloid. You know, I have no limit to my imagination. I could work at a tabloid. I'd be like sitting up there making up stuff with the best of them. All you have to do is just be bold enough to say it. Create some type of end-to-end scenario. It doesn't have to make sense. You just have to say it, and there are people that will believe it. So, yep, that's it. And then, of course, you guys, this one right here. What could I say? Trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert. Tessa Dunlap decided that she was going to freestyle on Hoghead. Now, I have to say, I would just accept this at face value. I will explain to you what I believe is going on here. And it's what I've said a million times before. So you won't be surprised what I think is going on here. It's the reason why I don't watch The View or any of those other shows. But again, this is an exceptional situation considering that they are trying to build this case against Harry and Meghan. So let me see. I got my, let me put this on. Oh, it is on. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, again, trigger alert, you guys. Trigger alert. To be forewarned is to be forearmed, etc., etc.
To my left, you can see you simmering, so simmer away.
Oh, okay, one
Tessa
more.
Dunlop, you've been seething away quietly. To my left, I can see you simmering, so simmer away.
You appall me, Piers. Occasionally, I think, no, he's found the light. He's seen the light. He's no longer crashing on about Harry. And then this appalling diatribe we've just had to sit through. You claiming, you lying there, suggesting that you're putting their names out effectively to save the monarchy. You put their names out for clicks. You're no better than Omid Scobie. In fact, you're worse. You call him a little spittle. You're a great big gob of phlegm that's just landed on the royal doormat. I don't know how you slept last night. I struggled to sleep thinking about what you'd done.
One more time.
Tessa Dunlop, you've been seething away quietly. To my left, I can see you simmering, so simmer away.
You appall me, Piers. Occasionally, I think, no, he's found the light. He's seen the light. He's no longer crashing on about Harry. And then this appalling diatribe we've just had to sit through. You claiming, you lying there, suggesting that you're putting their names out effectively to save the monarchy. You put their names out for clicks. You're no better than Omid Scobie. In fact, you're worse. You call him a little spittle. You're a great big gob of phlegm that's just landed on the royal doormat. I don't know how you slept last night. I struggled to sleep thinking about what you'd done.
Now, the other two
Tessa
people.
Dunlop, you've been
Okay. So I would like to believe that Tessa Dunlap was being very genuine, but the truth is Tessa Dunlap kind of waffles, not kind of waffles, but if she was a shoe, she'd be a flip-flop. She is not a squatty, and she has told people, I am not part of the Sussex squad, because there was a few occasions where when people thought that she was Team Sussex, she would definitely, do something or say something to remind you that that's not the case. That weirdo in the rainbow tie, that is Dickie Arbiter, and I forgot this other lady's name, but as you can see, she kind of reminds me of the mama from that movie Sparkle, Mary Alice. Yeah, she kind of reminds me of Mary Alice. But yeah, I think the whole thing was orchestrated. I really do believe that this was theater. And that is why I tell you guys, when you watch these panels, they get you very upset. You think that you are hearing someone making progress to set the record straight, but it's theater. They all have a producer in their ear, and uh, I'm going to let you listen to more of this, and then you can kind of hear how things changes a bit. Now, Tessa might be a bit, you know, a little soft in the head too. I'm not gonna say that she's not. Um, Maybe that's just her personality type, is that she feels this way today and that way tomorrow. I don't know. I would love to believe that she's genuine, but I think this was a way for Piers Morgan to avoid being crucified by the public and possibly losing his show, having done something that seems to skirt the law, by letting someone come on the show to verbally chastise him, the same way that Bill Maher, when he used the N word, he had what's his name, Ice T or Ice Cube, Ice T, had one of them on his show who verbally chastised him and made everything okay. This reminds me of that so much, where you invite someone on the show that will say what other people want to say, and whatever you were thinking, they get it out, and they, it seems as though the person's tail is tucked between their legs and they'll never do that again. This was theater. This was a theater performance. Shelly L says, hi, Baron. Hello, squaddies. They forgot to show the comparison of Meghan's silhouette at the funeral and the back of Kay's red outfit that was advertising awkward jazz hands and dried up. Let me see. What is S and X in Champagne Room? Ooh. Okay, I just got that. Yes, you know what? I didn't think about that, but yes, there was that silhouette. Yes, I did not realize that, because every time I see red, I have an affliction now. Every time I see bright red, I see a leg flying out. I can't see red without a leg flying out. It's like I'm looking at the Rockettes. So, yeah, that's another one of those occasions where there has been an appropriation of Meghan's image. Yes, thank you so much, Shelly L. That is brilliant. Absolutely. See how much we learn from each other here? That is so, so brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Adrian Burrow. Yeah, but that was theater. That was theater. I would love to believe that Tessa was really giving him a piece of her mind, but that was all performance. That's all it is. All of these shows do that. And the more people you have on the panel, the more likely there's a performance taking place. So these three people are there to heal the wounds that was caused last night when Hoghead went on there and threw those names out. Now, he claims that he actually spoke to a lawyer and that it was okay to do that. He said that he talked to a lawyer because legally it seems like it was against the law, but okay. Let me see if I can find it. So this is the longer version. I probably won't play the whole thing. We'll see how it goes. But oh gosh, it's about 10 minutes. I'm not going to play all of that, but I want you to hear more of it. I'll skip the part we just heard if I can.
Tessa Dunlop, you've been seething away quietly to my left. I can see you simmering, so simmer away.
You appall me, Piers. Occasionally, I think, no, he's found the light. He's seen the light. He's no longer crashing on about Harry. And then this appalling diatribe we've just had to sit through. You claiming, you lying there, suggesting that you're putting their names out effectively to save the monarchy. You put their names out for clicks. You're no better than Omid Scobie. In fact, you're worse. You call him a little spittle. You're a great big gob of phlegm that's just landed on the royal doormat. I don't know how you slept last night. I struggled to sleep thinking about what you'd done. I really can't. And yes, I did. I did know that. You suggest that.
Stop the performative crap. Honestly, it's performative crap.
No, let's just hold on to
calm down. Have a civilized conversation. The idea you didn't sleep over this. You don't even know these people.
I was properly angry by your hypocrisy. And
now, did you notice that he referred to that it was performative? Stop with this performative crap. He seemed to be rather calm for someone who's being told off. But wait, you haven't even heard the most interesting thing.
then
What's
you
the
sit there,
hypocrisy?
Piers, because you spend day in, day out, you're pro-monarchy, the wonderful Queen,
Yeah,
wonderful
I am.
Charles, and then you go and dob Kate and Charles right in it when one's at
No, I didn't.
28.
Oh, no,
Yes, you did.
Wait a minute.
Piers.
Oh, no.
Yes,
Oh,
you
no,
did.
no, no, no.
Oh,
no.
yes, you
I'll
did.
tell you who did that. Omid Scobie. Because these names appeared in a draft of his book, which was published in the
And
Netherlands
they were
for
under
sale
the line.
to
It
Netherlands
was tittle
people.
tattle till
Yeah.
you popped it on a Murdoch platform.
Yeah.
And now you've just had the gall to suggest
You're
that
on a
private
Murdoch platform right
conversation-
now.
Listen carefully to this, because she just confronted him about being on a Murdoch platform and exposing this.
No, I am.
You got a
And I'm
problem
just
with that?
correcting the record.
You got a problem
For
with
the
that?
record, that was Piers' highly dubious opinion. I've got a problem with you tonight, Piers. A real problem.
Why would you have a problem with being on a Murdoch platform?
Because
You're here now.
because what you did was you put those names.
You're being
you took
paid
them-
to appear.
Yes, I know, but you took
Yeah.
the names.
Why are you doing
the
that?
rumor.
Why are you
took
being
the
paid to
rumour
appear
and
here?
you put it on an official platform.
Why are you being
You
paid?
turned it from fiction
Why
to
have you
fact.
accepted money from a Murdoch
To
platform?
challenge you about your behaviour and
Okay.
hypocrisy. And by the way, just the word baseless.
So you're
How do
calling-
you know that Meghan's rumours were baseless? How do you know what she accused
Where's
the
the
royal family
evidence?
of?
Any of it?
Where's the evidence that it was baseless?
Where?
So it may have started off where it was supposed to have been one type of confrontation, and maybe she just went a step further than he expected. That happens sometimes, it's because they have a conversation. They have, like, not so much a rehearsal, but the talking points are gone over. And so this wouldn't have been a surprise to anybody sitting there.
Well, obviously, it's very difficult
They
when the
couldn't
two
even
accusers
decide-
are the chief
They
witnesses.
couldn't even decide on Oprah Winfrey what year these supposed conversations had happened or how many there were, right? They couldn't decide what year.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen. You
Really?
take notes and write in your diary. if
Really?
something happened.
Let me go to Dickie.
I just want to come in. You mentioned the Oprah interview, and quite frankly, Meghan said that the conversation happened when she was pregnant.
Mm.
About 10 minutes later, Harry came into the interview
Yeah.
and said it happened before they were married.
Right.
So when did it happen? And did it happen? And there's a big question mark. I will take issue with you naming yesterday, and I made that point this morning. You are a bit of a law unto yourself.
It's worse than a law.
Excuse me.
So Dickie Arbiter is also there to confront Piers Morgan for being a law unto himself by dropping those names without permission, I suppose, or against the law or whatever they're just saying. So Dickie Arbiter, take a look at this. He's got 3 people there that are supposedly there to confront him. This is ratings gold for Piers Morgan. This is everything that he's ever wanted, but was unable to get it until Omid's book comes out. And then, of course, having been in the business as long as he's has, and knowing when it's necessary to take a chance to get what you want. He says that he vetted this whole conversation about the book with his lawyers, and then he released the name. And of course, I told you guys yesterday, the reason why he says, well, if the Dutch people can see it, then surely the tax-paying British subjects can see it. And that is why I'm putting it out there, is because it's not fair that they can see it and we can't see it. So he made the case and dropped the names. And now today, to follow up, to make sure that he doesn't get completely crucified for it, he's using Tessa, Dickie, and whatever that other lady's name. They're supposed to be there to bash him for going after those clicks and engagement. Okay, some more.
Actually, just on the law point, it was entirely lawful what I did. So I did seek legal advice. I got very good, sound legal advice. And actually, there's no question. I didn't take the law onto myself. I actually applied a letter of the law. This information had been published in the Netherlands. Dutch people were free to read it. And I took a view. It was ridiculous that British people couldn't be aware of this information. I also said, when I named them, that I didn't believe a word of the racist allegations made against them.
I didn't either.
That was the other part that gives him some cover, is by saying, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. He says he knew it, that he's heard it before, but he doesn't believe it. But instead of keeping it to himself, he decides that he would drop the names on his show, that he would say that he doesn't believe it, and then the next day he brings 3 people on his show that are supposed to be there to give him the what for and a dressing down for having put the royals' names out there without authorization.
I didn't either. I didn't believe anything of that interview. It was just a diatribe of absolute nonsense, as is the book Endgame. And as you rightly say, Endgame, the only person in Endgame is Scobie. But I did take issue in mentioning him last night. Yes, you have say the Brits have a right to know. It's in the Dutch translation, but there are those who will say agree with you. There were those who disagree with you.
Well, many of the papers who've held off apparently tonight are going to name them.
You gave them no choice.
Actually, you always got a choice. Sorry, you always have a choice.
Everybody's got a choice.
Everyone has a choice. Everyone had a choice when it was published in the Netherlands not to repeat the names, right? If they're all going to repeat them tonight in the papers, they were just a day after us, right? And I have a show called Uncensored for a reason. I don't believe in self-censorship. I don't believe when the Dutch people can read this information in a book available in bookstores, as some of them had already bought copies, that British people should be denied that information. And the information, by the way, is hugely significant. We've waited 2.5 years to find out who these members of the royal family were that Meghan Markle and
only
Prince...
weird people like you with an obsession, Piers, have been waiting 2.5 years.
No, actually the entire country has.
No, that's just it's a misrepresentation of most of the country.
What I actually want to know is, he said he had no help from the Sussexes, and yet, on the other hand, he said he saw the letters.
Yeah.
So how did he see the letters?
How has he got the information?
Exactly.
He's not got it from King Charles.
It's all come from Montecito.
Right, Paula.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. So you're going to be shocked at this, but I actually agree with you that you identified them yesterday. And let me explain to you why. Because everybody in the royal circle knew who it was. All the royal journalists knew who it was. I've spoken to people who knew who it was. The fact that they've been named didn't come as a surprise to me, because it's fairly common knowledge among journalists.
I actually don't think many journalists knew about Princess of Wales. I think they thought it was another member of the royal family.
But you accept that.
Well, I was actually surprised, but I was not surprised that, again, it made it even more to me obvious that this is all complete bullcrap.
Exactly. And that's where you and I actually agree on this, because the fact that it was they were named in the Netherlands, it is almost neither here nor there. The fact is there are people here who knew, and you're right, the British people did have a right to know who it was. And now we know who it is. What's going to happen next? Well, surely action needs to be taken. And here's where I am disappointed with you. I'm disappointed with you because we had a monologue of you berating and throwing disdain at Meghan, at Harry, at Omid.
Yeah.
Talking as if you have spoken to King Charles, talking as if you have spoken to Kate, spoken as if you have spoken to Camilla.
Get him, get him. Y'all hear what she's doing? Now she is saying, this is the whole point she's making. You're so sure that this didn't happen and that happened and this didn't happen. But at the same time, Piers is speaking as though he knows for a fact. And she's pretty much saying, unless you spoke to Kate or Camilla or to Charles or to William, how do you know?
But you haven't. And so if you haven't, everything that you have said is based on assumption. And I think you did accept. And I think you did accept actually.
No.
And everyone's free to watch it back.
Respond.
No.
Let me
Because
respond.
you actually used the word assumptions in what you were saying.
Let me-
You are also making
Can I respond?
You are also making very dangerous assumptions. And what you have done this evening is you have set anybody back who is suffering from racism.
Oh, what a load of cobblers.
Forward. Because you are suggesting,
Honestly, what a load of cobblers.
that because
You see how he's trying to shut her down now. See, everything was going his way. He got the admonishment that he wanted. He got the admonishment that he needed in order to make it appear as though he's been made to suffer and he's been prosecuted for his crime. But all of the extra stuff that Tessa said, the extra stuff that Paula is saying, Dickie ain't really doing much, but Tessa and Paula, he doesn't really want them to talk.
what somebody
I'll tell you who's put
looks
racism
like,
back.
and because of their role in society,
Yeah.
that you cannot challenge them. That is what you have said
Really?
this evening, and that is dangerous.
No, I tell you who's
it doesn't matter who
tell
it
you
is.
who's put back
Piers.
racism.
It doesn't matter who it
I
is.
tell you who's put back racism.
A person who
People
be
who
challenged.
cry wolf about racism.
I don't know if they're crying wolf.
They're despicable.
I don't
I'm
know
told,
if they're crying
I've been
wolf.
assured.
Who by who?
Never you mind.
Oh, come on, you're
Never
not
you
going to
mind
name your
my
sources.
You-
I'm
But I've been assured.
Well, you named
the
King
allegations
Charles
are
and Kate.
completely
Let's name your
unfounded.
source.
Who's your source?
I don't
Who's your
reveal
source?
any sources, right?
Well,
but I've been assured
then
they
we
are
can't rely
unfounded.
on what you're
But
saying.
more
Piers.
importantly, where is the evidence?
in the letters, no doubt.
Where?
In the letters, no
Where's
doubt.
the evidence?
Letters.
What letters? I would like to see these letters because no
So would
doubt
I.
Scobie
that's
is-
where the evidence
So would
is.
I.
claims to have
So
seen
you
the
ask where
letters.
the evidence is.
So would I.
I suggest
Well,
looking at those letters.
now we may have started something where we
And I
may
don't want
find
to
out.
wait. I don't want to wait 1,000 years. I don't want them to.
So Tessa and Paula are asking him to explain how does he know these things. And then, of course, he turns it around, being the wordsmith he is, by saying, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? See, that is what happens when you have somebody like Piers Morgan on the ropes. It's just like when people ask you to explain what racism is. That means they don't accept that there has been an act of racism. When they tell you to explain, when they say how and when, that means that they don't accept what you say. They're accusing you of being a liar or confused. But either way, it is a form of gaslighting to demand that you show the evidence.
Locked away in some cellar somewhere.
I think if
Let's
you're
see
going
the
to
letters.
accuse members of the royal family of racism, you should have the decency and the courage to stand up, say who it was,
suffered
say what
from
they
racism,
said,
and you
say
talk
the
about
context
you
they
having
said
decency.
it, and say when they said it.
I'm flabbergasted. So you're the victim of racism, but you're challenging the victim on having decency,
Who's the victim?
on being decent.
Who's the victim?
Is that what you're saying?
Who's the
Piers?
victim?
Because I know
Who's
that
the
it's
victim?
incredibly
Paula,
difficult.
who's the victim?
Now you see what he's doing. What Paula is saying is that what Piers is doing is taking away the credibility of any Black person or any person who has suffered from racism, right? Anyone who is being othered or suffering from racism. And then, of course, in order to create confusion, he demands that she tells him an exact case of someone who he or anyone in his position has denied racism. He's trying to put her on the spot to buy time and create confusion so that the point that she's trying to make is lost in his demands for a specified case study. So yeah, it's very hard to pin him down, Piers Morgan, because he's very cagey when he wants to be, and to try to make a point, especially on his show, if you're not well prepared. She's doing good, but eventually he decided to find that one word or one phrase that he could repeat over and over again based upon something that she has said. So, yeah, it's a very difficult spot right now.
Incredibly difficult.
Paula, who's
I
the victim?
don't know. But
You don't know.
I do know.
So you're talking
but
about a mythical victim.
What I do know is
It's a ridiculous conversation.
Harry and Meghan.
So I'm apparently disrespecting some victim, but you don't know who that is.
You're challenging what they're saying.
It's not true.
You're telling. How do you know?
Where's the proof?
What?
2.5 years.
So what we're waiting for is evidence, and then once you've got your
Yes.
evidence, and then once you've got your
Yes,
evidence,
you-
will you
you say
apologise?
people are racist.
Piers,
Put up and
once
shut
you've
up.
got your
Yes.
evidence, will you apologise?
Yeah,
You'll
sure.
apologise to
No,
Meghan.
don't get me wrong. If
Will you
there is-
apologise to
if
Meghan?
Meghan Markle produces actual evidence of racism, let's see it. And if it's proven
Because
that
what
King
has
Charles or the
happened-
Princess of Wales were racist about her baby, I will apologise to her. Let me tell you, I can say that with real confidence, because it ain't going to happen.
Because you haven't apologised yet for the fact that you were wrong about the threats that were made on her life in terms of all the far right groups, on the terms of who.
I didn't talk about that.
She said that they affected her mental health, and you said that she was lying.
No, I didn't. This is again.
Now, I got to give it to Paula. That's a good comeback. Now, you see, now she's got him back on the ropes again, and he's almost unable to respond because now she has him on the spot about the threats made against Meghan and her mental health. But being the weasel that he is, he attempts to worm his way out of it again.
You're misquoting me. I didn't say that. I said I didn't believe she went to a senior member of the royal household and said she was feeling suicidal and they wouldn't allow her to get help. And no evidence for that has ever been produced, and nor has that allegation ever reappeared in the Netflix series, the Harry book, or the podcast. It didn't happen.
So you accept
These
she
things
suffered from
did
mental
not
health.
happen.
So you,
And that's another thing. He's very specific. If it's not in the book, if it's not in the docuseries, if it's not on the podcast, then it can't be true. So that's his clever way of defining what the truth is based on those three different types of broadcasts or media things. That's his way of defining what the truth is. And you know what they say, never let your enemy define who you are. And that's what he's trying to do. He's setting the ground rules. He is creating parameters of what can and cannot be the truth. So Paula is starting to wear him down. And of course, in return, he's trying to wear her down to the point where he creates so much frustration that you can't get your point across.
If they happened, they would have been
do you
repeated.
accept that she suffered from her mental health? Do you accept
I
that she
have no
struggled
idea.
with
I
it?
wasn't there, was I? All I know is she did not go to a senior member of the royal household saying, I'm suicidal. And they said, you can't get help.
You've just said you don't know about her mental health, and yet you said with a surety earlier in this conversation that her claims about racism, about the questions of the colour of her baby, they were baseless. How can you say that with a surety when you weren't
Where's
there?
the proof?
You weren't there.
Where's the proof?
Unless she was sitting there with a tape
Where's the
recorder,
proof?
there may not be
Where's the
proof.
proof?
Piers, you're an
Piers,
intelligent
and that's
man.
the
There is
problem.
no
It's
proof.
Incredibly
racist.
hard.
Let's take a short
to
break.
prove an
We'll come
allegation.
back.
Nonsense.
Let's talk a short break.
Now, wait, watch this. Listen to how he dismisses them using misogyny. Listen to this.
And we'll come back. I mean, hysteria is fine to a point. It's a bit performative.
You began
right?
hysterical,
Try and
but you
stay,
went on for 12
try and
minutes.
stay on point. No. I made my point. You can have an argument without being hysterical. It's a bit pathetic.
Hysteria. Of course, he has to accuse the women of being hysterical. That is the other little ploy that he's using, is accuse the women of being hysterical. That is one of the things that an empowered rich white man always does, is accuse a woman of being hysterical. Yep. So What could I say? They're in his house, and he did what he's very good at. He's got everybody watching the show. Everything was on his terms. Dickie Arbiter is very much on his side of things. He could be there. And notice that out of everyone on the panel, it's only the black woman that he turns to and waves his finger. It's only the black woman that he turns to wave his finger. He had said something about, I don't know if this, well, the part of it was when she said something about the royal household, and he's like, be careful about the royal household. I was part of the royal household. Yeah. So, you know, like I say, Tessa is paid. Everybody there is paid to be there. And since she was bold enough to call Piers Morgan out, he decided that he would return the favor and call her out for being paid to be there, because the last thing he wants you to do is to have any credibility. So he calls her out, right? And I believe, excuse me, I believe Tessa has moments when she is more forthcoming than others. But when certain visits on the show involves a certain narrative, she's going to take her money first. She's going to get the money before she uses her principles. I believe she has plenty principles, but everybody who appears on these shows have a certain, shall we say, range of concern before they start flipping to get that bag. And so I think that's what happens, because she's making some good money appearing on these shows. And like I said, any of these shows you watch, they're theater. That is theater that you're watching. It's a great performance. I think it did get genuinely testy a few times, like that day Piers Morgan ran out of Good Morning Britain. That was when the script had kind of gone astray, and he didn't know that he was going to be chewed up and spit out. But, you know, take it with a grain of salt. That's what I say. Take it with a grain of salt. It's just like I say with the tabloids. The tabloids, by and large, the tabloids are full of lies, right? But they also have a lot of truth in them. There's a lot of briefing that goes on. And sometimes people, especially like members of the royal family, they will say certain things to certain people to try to curtail behavior, to try to send a message or even a warning. They will use the tabloids. Like when the Queen was saying that Kate needed to get a job. It wasn't anything she said directly to him, to her. It may not even have come directly from the Queen, but there may have been some conversations from the courtiers and the Queen, and somebody decided on the Queen's behalf to leak the idea that Kate needs to get a job. She needs to be, they were like as though they were trying to make sure that she was up to the task of being the Princess of Wales. Will she work? Will she tirelessly work? And we all know what the answer is. Ultimately, no. Is she up for the job? No. And in spite of that, even with a whole staff of people, she could only do so much. But 20 something years after she first met William, she's still not up to the job. So anyway, you guys, I told you that there was a trigger warning with this one, because Piers Morgan is going to piss you off. That's what he does. Sherry Ware says, why is well, I think I just explained that. It was something she had said about the royal family, and yeah, and probably because she black, but yeah, I didn't like it either. That's why I made sure I kept this as a screenshot. But yeah, you guys, that's it. Piers Morgan is very good at what he does. That's why he's been around for so long, is that it's hard to pin him down. And he's very good at making things about Piers Morgan. One of the best talents he has is the same thing like Donald Trump. He can make almost anything about him. I'll play this from yesterday.
I would say to Meghan Markle, look, sit down with me, with your husband, for an equally long interview to the one you gave Oprah Winfrey. And let me ask you more difficult questions about all your claims. But let me ask you a wider question, which is this. If you hate the royal family that much, why do you keep your royal titles?
Well, there you go. Jobbo, what do you reckon? What are the chances of Harry and Meghan actually doing an interview with Piers?
I would say zero. I mean, he's been telling a few porkies too. I mean, he keeps having to go at Meghan and Harry saying they've been telling a few whoppers, which they probably did in that Oprah interview. But he was saying he's had messages from the royal family thanking him for standing up to Meghan and Harry. I hope that was tongue in cheek, because I'm pretty sure that he hasn't had messages from the royal family. Look, I think he should probably leave this now. I know that his job's gone on the back of it. I think it's time for him to move on, and I think most people would probably prefer him to go and get another job and let the Harry and Meghan question go.
So, Jobbo, over there, what do people think of him and this response?
Piers is fairly popular, and a lot of people were upset that he lost he gave up his role on the morning television slot. But, he's not down to his last few quid. I'm sure he'll rise again. I worked with Piers 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. I worked with Piers 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. 30 years ago on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him. And I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment.
See what I said? You see, I remembered him saying that, Robert Jobson. And when I heard it, it was like an epiphany. I said, yes, that's exactly what it is. Piers Morgan makes everything about Piers Morgan. Kind of like Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan couldn't sing. He couldn't dance. He couldn't tell a joke. But he did it better than anybody else could. So the same with Piers Morgan. He doesn't really do anything, but when it comes to representing Piers Morgan would make you believe that he's the best singer, the best dancer, and the best comedian, even though he can't do any of that stuff. The best thing that he can do is to be a victim and to insert himself in it. He's very good at finding the voice of the common person, which is interesting because, like I said, he and Trump are two of a kind, because Donald Trump, as wealthy and as privileged as he is very adept at making people believe that he represents the downtrodden masses of poor people that will never have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. They believe Donald Trump is their savior. They're two of a kind. And of course, like someone just says, he's a narcissist. Again, projection. The people that are the most narcissistic are the ones who love to throw that at Meghan, even though they're the ones that are only out for themselves. The only thing that Piers Morgan is interested in is Piers Morgan. That's it. He don't care about anything else. That's why I officially dubbed him as a Yeti, just like Thomas Markle Sr. Thomas Markle is a professional victim who doesn't care about anybody else but Thomas Markle. Yep. Very, very, very nasty people. Okay. Shelly L says, Queen, how come every time I come out to get a sandwich, I see Kate standing around in the hallway? I said, I said what I said, fix it. Okay, let me find it. You seem to have that talent like Sean, where you could actually communicate with Her Majesty. That's pretty clever. Oh man. Okay, here we go. How come every time I come out to get a sandwich? Wait, let me. How come every time I come out to get a sandwich, I see Kate standing around in the hallways? I said what I said. Fix it. Queen out. Oh, thank you for that, Shelly L. But yeah, so you guys, I do apologize for introducing you to this Piers Morgan thing, but there was a lot said, and if nothing else, I want to drive the point that you really should avoid these panels, because they're going to cause frustration, because they are orchestrated, they are manipulative, they are theater. They're like a theater company. They're not rooted in any honest dialogue. It's all about telling you what you should believe. For those who believe something, they will reinforce your beliefs. For those that have doubts, they're only going to create more doubt. And for people who don't care, they're going to make you so frustrated because you don't really get anywhere. That's why I say hoghead, because Piers Morgan is like a pig. They always say, don't wrestle with a pig, because if you get in a fight with a pig, the only person that wins is the pig. You're going to be all covered in crap and all messy, and the pig is going to be happy. And that's exactly what happened here. The only person that walked away happy is Piers Morgan. Now, of course, they happy they got paid, but Piers Morgan is the one who's gotten the big prize. He may have bought some more time for his show, because otherwise the show was, from what I understand, was in the risk of being canceled, but probably not anymore, because he has somehow found a way to put himself front and center into something that has nothing.
Well, it's worked.
He's doing it well. Doing it very well.
To be about him, and I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment on the Sun newspaper. He'll always turn the story to be about him, and I think that's what he's trying to do at the moment.
Yep. He'll always turn the story to be about him. Okay, so I thought this was kind of funny. Nana Akua says, wondering aloud about an unborn baby's skin tone is not racist. Hashtag Omid Scobie, hashtag Harry and Meghan, hashtag Endgame. Read my column, blah, 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 at the Daily Mail. Well, I believe someone is comparing her to the old Reverend Al Sharpton. Somebody had posted this on the Twitter. Girl, bye. So I think that what they're doing is comparing Nana to the Reverend Al Sharpton. I think that's what this is supposed to be. But when I saw that, I screamed, right? Wondering aloud about the baby's skin tone is not racist. And of course, they said, girl, bye. Oh, man. That was their reply, a photo of the old Reverend Al. But we have Black friends, right? That is an official communication, an official communication from His Majesty's official royal website. But we have Black friends. So anybody at this point who is still doubting the sincerity of the royal family's connection, love, and affection for Black people, just remember, they have Black friends. They do. They have, what's his name? The Uncle Ben, the one that what's his name? You know, the guy that's always in uniform when they go to London. That's one. Let me see. Oh, the black man that William once slept rough with. That's another one. Come on, y'all, give me one more. The guy, the one that's in London, the one that slept rough. Well, I tried. But yeah, anyway, this is not officially from the website, but it could have been. But I don't believe this is official. I think this is just somebody having fun. And as I shared yesterday, how uncomfortable Kate can be when she's near the kind of people that William sleeps rough with. Take a look there on the left side. You see that little itty bitty NBA fan right there? I forgot what it was, but she was like a big fan of LeBron James. And LeBron James met her and did exactly what he does with everybody. He put his arm around her shoulder and took a photo, which is the same thing he did with Catherine the Great, except she started squirming and looked somewhat uncomfortable, right? And you can see LeBron James is kind of like, ugh. And that's what happens. She can barely conceal her contempt for humanity, let alone Black people. She can barely hide it and is put on full display right there. And right there, you can see LeBron James, someone who has been an activist for Black causes, who is paid for educational excellence. And this is the way he's treated by a princess of the realm. So, like it or not, the royal family has some problems. Yeah, they have some problems. And she's a big one right there. Kate Middleton taking her revenge on Meghan Markle with major change, says expert. Speaking on the royal beat, royal biographer Duncan Larcombe says that the hiring of a new private secretary for Kate Middleton comes as revenge against her sister-in-law, Meghan Markle. Well, you know what? I found this while I was doing some research for tonight, and guess what? She doesn't have a private secretary. She cannot keep a private secretary. But there goes that projection. They accuse Harry and Meghan, in particular Meghan, who always gets the worst end of it. They accuse her of not being able to keep staff. But the easiest, poshest job that I could imagine would be as private secretary to Kate Middleton. She cannot keep one. But that is not the topic of the conversation. It's usually what Harry and Meghan can't do. So this is why I say that the Endgame is like a mixed blessing. I won't ever say that is 100% good for Harry and Meghan. But if it wasn't for that book, maybe somebody new, maybe a few people that are new to the Sussex squad, new to Royal Sussex, maybe they're learning for the first time that Kate cannot keep a secretary, but yet they keep saying that people are leaving the Archwell in droves. They can't keep staff. When the truth is, it's Kensington Palace. A good job like that, and people flee. Remember the housekeeper that left because they were trying to overwork her? You would think that it would be difficult to leave a job at the palace. She quit because she was working at Admiral Hall, but they wanted her to divide her time between Admiral Hall and Kensington Palace. And they just wasn't paying enough. She wasn't able to see her family. Kate can be with her family, but one of the people on the staff, and she publicly said that she was quitting for that reason. She let it be known. She didn't try to pretend otherwise. I bet you there was probably an NDA. She didn't care. They're trying to overwork me. I'm out of here. You know, I love that photo of Kate, don't you? That heifer looked disturbed, don't she? She looks so disturbed in that picture. That is like, that is one twisted sister. I love that photo. This is like my favorite photo of her. It's like lights on, nobody's home. Look at them eyes. Woo! I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. I do. I love this photo. It just tickles me every time I look at it. Sometimes I could go through my photos and I get to this one and I just start laughing. I get tears in my eyes. And then, of course, Kate Middleton felt threatened by Meghan Markle. This was back a year ago, November 2022. Meghan Markle was polished, passionate, and funny, using all her TV honed skills to present her case. And apparently, this article is referring to whatever conversation was taking place there. I never did see the video, but I agree that Kate was threatened by Meghan, and of course, out of fear, she decided to chase her away. So Kate was known as Lazy Kate before Meghan showed up. Everything that was said about, and you know, that's something that I have to say too, is that all of that bluffing that, and that's all it was just a big bluff. All of that stuff that Piers Morgan was saying, he knows better. He knows better. And it just goes to show you what a good liar and what a good manipulator he is, because he has people convinced that his case that he's making is done based out of pure integrity, when the truth is he knows that they flipped the script, that instead of all of the vicious attacks that they were throwing at the Cambridges, they have created even worse of an attack, almost to the point of life ending. Well, let me see, they did lose an unborn child, but the tabloid media and, you know, to some extent the palace, their brutal attack against the Sussexes has been unparalleled. I mean, everybody knows that the royal family can be pretty vicious, but this is even worse than anything before, due in part to the racial component involved with everything that has been said and done. British tabloids are taking William and Kate to task. Now, remember, I said that they brief in order to correct behavior. Prince William has gone from goody two-shoes to lazy layabout. That was in 2016, March of 2016. So I'm not even sure Harry and Meghan had met at that point, but 2016 was the year that they met for the first time. And up until 2018, when they got married, this was the usual conversation. They were trying to shame William into preparing for the throne. They literally had to shame him, and it did not work. And that photo is he and Kate and their children on vacation when they should have been at the Westminster Abbey for Commonwealth Day. He took his family on vacation. Now, I don't know how much of that Omid may or may not have mentioned in his book. I mean, he's only one person, but this is a part of the story, is who the Cambridges, Welleses were before Meghan got there and how they have been portrayed as of late. Those are the real people right there. Why is Kate Middleton so silent? Tom Sykes wrote here, Kate Middleton has a fear of public speaking. Sources say which may go some way to explain why she has not made so much as a squeak in public since the birth of her baby daughter, Charlotte, in May this year. So that was 2017. Despite being an excellent communicator in private, she is reluctant to put herself forward for more public speaking or interviews, and the palace, wisely knowing the game they are playing is very, very long, are not pushing her to do so. She's protected. She has received protection. And then when Meghan came along, instead of, accepting that she's not so good at it, they decide to attack Meghan for being good at it. They want Meghan to be less than, to not appear so much, to not display her talents. They want her to be everything that they want her to be, a Stepford wife, and not the talented, intelligent, capable person that she really is. Because by doing that, it helps protect Kate from scrutiny. Meghan said, I didn't think it would be easy, but at least I thought it would be fair. And that's not fair. They punish Meghan for what Kate is unable to do because Kate doesn't have any talent. So Meghan is, even though they had promised Meghan before the wedding that she and Harry would be able to do certain things, work with the Commonwealth, all of a sudden they didn't want that to happen. They changed their mind because they could see the contrast in the eyes of the public was so jarring that Meghan had to be 50% of herself or not at all. It doesn't seem to make much sense because ultimately it would have been to the advantage of the institution to let Harry and Meghan be. But again, it just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. And if a book like Endgame could make that case, I'm glad for it. I'm so glad for it. Now, as always, you guys, in the spirit of fair play, we always have to reach out to Kensington Palace for comment.
Well, obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
Oh man, that never gets old. Do you know that? Do you know that I could be anywhere, and just thinking about her, hemming and hawing, trying to make her point. It just destroys me every time. Going forward and this and that. And what do you do? Queen wants Kate Middleton to get charity job to counter claims of work shy. Yikes. Kate Middleton called lazy by the Queen, nicknames her Duchess of Doolittle. Again, this is 2008 all the way to 2015, and that was still a talking point. They were trying to shame her or coerce her into doing something. Enters, let me see, Lee Thompson. When Auntie Lee Thompson took his new role as PR guru for William and Kate, he thought he hit the jackpot. So far, 2 tragic tours, Earth flop and Jamaica tour flopped. I bet now he's rethinking his plans. Let me see. Well, Earth flop, Jamaica. Oh, and let us not forget Boston. I wonder if this was before Boston, but that's Lee Thompson right there. That's the guy who used to work for NBC. He's the one that is supposed to get them in the consciousness of a broader sector of society by them pretending to be Harry and Meghan. I'm not saying he's the one. I don't know for sure that he's the one that's saying wear this and do that, but his real expertise is to get clicks, to get engagement. So he might be working with other people at the palace to do that, but that's the guy right there, Lee Thompson. Or as they say here, Auntie Lee Thompson. I wonder if he's on the committee too, because we know Kristen Jones is on the committee. Jason Knopf is on the committee. I wonder if he's on the committee too. Kate joined William at unveiling of the National Windrush Monument. Now, in spite of everything that we're talking about because of the Endgame, notice right there a big blunder, or maybe there's just sending a message. Duchess of Cambridge revisits her favorite white power suit. Yes, you heard me. Her white power suit. And of course, there was that thing in Jamaica right there. And of course, more unease and discomfort with people of color. There was the famous Range Rover. And what's so interesting about this is that before Endgame, they tried to successfully say that they were blindsided because the people in Jamaica insist that they should revisit that moment with the Queen and Philip riding around in the Range Rover, only for it to come out that they were fully briefed about everything that was going to happen in Jamaica. And rather than saying, oh, that one thing, we don't feel comfortable, they were so excited they didn't know what to do. Kate went and found a lace dress nearly identical to what the Queen wore. William went and got out the great white, what do they call it? The great white, not White Hope. No, see, not Satan. What's the other one I'm looking for? Anyway, but the conquering European, he went and got that suit out. So everything was kind of like a mirror image, the spitting image of Philip and the Queen when they went there some 50 years ago. Prince William plans palace revolution. This is another one of those lofty announcements from Prince William where he declares that he's going to do something big. Housing, peace in the Middle East, Earth flop, removing the tusk from the royal collection. Well, this one, Prince William plans revolution to modernize the monarchy. Duke of Cambridge holds crisis meeting with aides after string of public relations blunders during tour of the Caribbean. Their tour around Belize, Jamaica, and the Bahamas saw the couple face backlash. William held abrupt talks with aides about the haphazard planning of the tour. So he's shifting the blame to the staff. He wants to update the institution and will complete a root and branch review. William and Kate have interviewed 2 people to lead their new PR team. Let's see how that works out. Prince William and Kate Middleton disastrous royal tour is proof they need to step up as future of the monarchy. And what about this one? TMZ at the time back in 2021. Prince William says monarchy, not races, but look who carried him on throne in 2012. You see, we wouldn't have even looked at that, at least most people wouldn't have, if they wouldn't have had that terrible time in what was it, 2021? And you see those two pictures on the right. The derangers were making fun of Harry and Meghan riding around on the backs of those little cars, comparing their lives as being a failure in comparison to Will and Kate, going around like a couple of colonizers. Don't you love that? They're trying to make the case that Harry and Meghan are such failures when they could be riding around in colonizer costumes and humiliating the royal family, angering the indigenous populations in the Caribbean. Why would you want to go to The Hague and be lauded and celebrated as heroes and loved by all when you could have gone to Jamaica and made a complete fool out of yourself? You see there? That's how the derangers think. They're so stupid. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Wait a minute. Now the skies are gray. Okay, that looks like it was the same day because they have the same clothes on. No, I take it back. Because William is not well, maybe he took his tie off. I wonder if that was the same day. Because look at how different everything looks. No, those were two different occasions. Those were the first time wasn't enough, huh? Look at that. And they just as pleased as they could be. They're just as happy. Couldn't wait to go home and show the pictures to everybody. And Kate clapping her hands. Oh, yeah. Life is good, huh? That's a whole nother outfit. I guess every place they went, they were loaded up on a barge or whatever. Wow, I didn't notice that those were different outfits. Because she's not even wearing yellow there. Prince William is accused of lacking real credibility on race since he did not protect Meghan Markle. You see, race is continuing to be an issue for, for that institution, and they have not learned anything. In the letter seen by Sky News and sent on his behalf by private secretary, Prince William confirmed that he had contacted the Football Association about the claims. Well, he was ready to speak out for those kids that were being abused at a football game, but he would not help his sister-in-law. Sophie Wessex reaches straight for the black baby. Excuse my skepticism and cynicism, but what is this? Grab a black person week for the royals to shore up their support in the Commonwealth? Well, you got Sophie holding little black baby. You got Kate touching the arm of, I think, the president of South Africa or somebody. And then you have William in deep conversation with a woman of color. So, yeah, that was a very deliberate display after the Queen died. And then Dan Wooten, stop the silly hysteria. Brits aren't sexist and BAFTA isn't racist. So William called himself looking important, and he had spoke out about the lack of diversity when it comes to the BAFTA awards, but that was short-lived. And then Donatella Limon, I will never forget when he said that Harry was being gauche for speaking out about or writing or talking about things that happened in his family, when Donatella Limon has written a couple of books talking about how he was abused as a child, abused as an adult. You know, Harry can't tell his story, but everybody else is allowed to tell their story. Here, and of course, Don Lemon couldn't think of the word before the break. He said, it's just not done. And then after break, when somebody had finally told him, I think the word you're looking for is gauche. Then he comes back and he says, yes, that's it, gauche. That's the word I was looking for. And right here, after the Queen died, when people were starting to talk about reparations and colonization, the history of slavery and the British Empire, this woman was able to go on Don Lemon's show and make the claim that most of the slavery was because of blacks, because of Africans. There were black slave owners. Slavery was sanctioned by the Queen Elizabeth I, who signed whatever law that enacted the right for them to go to Africa and take the slaves. So the plantations that were created in the Americas, that came from the British slave owning families. So she was trying to compare one thing to another, and Don Lemon didn't say a word. He just let her spew out everything she wanted to say to try to defend the history as she decided it is, as she determined it to be, and didn't say a word. Now, this is something that I learned recently. The reason why Caroline Kennedy, and I think I got that from the Endgame, didn't I? Caroline Kennedy and John Kerry both failed to show up to William and Kate's Earthshot event in Boston amid embarrassing race row in the UK as their first American trip in 8 years gets off in an inauspicious start. That's because they did not want to be embarrassed with the Susan Hussey thing, right? That had just happened. And among other things that has happened, they did not want to be embarrassed by that. So that's why both of them missed that first day. They wanted to see how things were going to go, if there was going to be any mass protests or anything like that. So that's why they weren't there the first day. So the next day, John Kerry all of a sudden could meet with them. And the Kennedy woman, Caroline Kennedy, she spent 30 minutes with them at the Kennedy's library, a very polite 30 minutes that she spent with them, and then she got the hell out of there. But it was important for them, for their images, to try to get the American royalty, the Kennedys, on their side, because Harry has the relationship with Carrie Kennedy, Harry and Meghan, so they wanted to make sure they got their own Kennedys. William once slept rough with a black man. Well, I already told this story a million times. Charles won't let Archie be a prince and plans slim down monarchy when he takes the throne. Now, if it wasn't for Meghan mentioning, this was in June 2021, it was in March when Meghan did the interview with Oprah, and she told Oprah that they asked about the skin color. But don't forget the other part about that conversation. They won't likely have any titles. They won't have any titles. They were trying to take the titles away from Archie and Lily. Reportedly won't allow Archie to be a prince when he becomes king. Royal sources say Prince Charles plans to change official documents to ensure Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's kids don't get royal titles when he's king. Why would you do that? Why would you go out of your way when you could just do nothing, and when your mama dies, they get their titles. But this is not about race, is it? It's not racist. It's something, but we dare not mention it because it would sound too much like race, right? So what else is it? What is it about the Sussex kids that is so unique that you can have Beatrice and Eugenie running around there with titles, but you cannot allow your own son and his children to have that same privilege, whatever the privilege may be? But remember, there is no racism. Abhorrent behavior of this nature must stop. Prince William further after fury after children as young as 7 are abused by racists while playing football. So that was really to do with the other article there. The Alpha United Juniors first spoke out about racial abuse and threats in November, revealed that children as young as 7 have been threatened with violence. It kind of reminds me of the basketball game they had, and because Donald Trump's rhetoric had so permeated the public consciousness, the kids from the mostly white school started chanting to the kids from the mostly Latin, Hispanic school, build that wall, build that wall, build that wall. And quite a few of the kids actually was in tears. That's how this can infect the minds of children during their formative years. You know, what Kate's always talking about, their early years. They're indoctrinated with that type of consciousness by their parents, usually. Prince William is deeply concerned after children were racially abused during football match. In a letter seen by Sky News sent on his behalf by a private secretary, Prince William confirmed well, anyway, I did that already. So let me continue. And then, of course, how about this one? How Kate's ancestor played a key role in abolishing slavery. Remember that? That's when we were calling her, gosh, what was that we called her? Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman. After the Sussexes' barbs about royals and racism. So they tried to convince people that Kate could, and maybe, you know what, you guys, think about this since we're here. Do you think that this was part of the attempt to wash her, to absolve her clear of any future conversations about racism by declaring it impossible for her to be racist because of her ancestor who helped abolish slavery? I had to think about that. You know, food for thought, food for thought. I hadn't even looked at this until this evening, and I'm just like, I wonder, how would rub shoulders, he would rub shoulders with a much broader cross-section of his future subjects. Labour MP says Prince William should break with tradition and send Prince George to a state school instead of the £46,000 a year Eton, which is making a good case. If you're going to send this child to Eton, you're going to create another person in the same image of yourself, which of course is exactly what they want. But yeah, that's not likely to change. And Prince Harry's hatchet job taints the whole royal family in the eyes of the public. Good. Next. Support for the royals is failing. With your help, we can abolish the monarchy. Good. Next. Oh, okay. I think I'm almost done, you guys. I think this has got to be close. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just about done, you guys. Today, they had the Invictus athletes at the White House. That's it. They had the Invictus athletes at the White House. Okay, next. And to close out tonight with the late Rosalind Kennedy, First Lady Rosalind Kennedy was honored around the globe following her death at age 96 on Sunday afternoon, including at her former home, the White House. Shortly after her death, the White House X account posted a photo revealing that Carter's official White House portrait had been temporarily relocated to a prominent location on the building's ground floor and decorated with fresh flowers and, a note card and a dark drape bordering the frame. The photo of Carter's tribute was captioned, "The thoughts and prayers of the Biden-Harris administration are with the President Carter and the entire Carter family." So that was very sweet. But yeah, that is how they have the official portrait of the late First Lady Rosalind Carter. And how sweet they put a Christmas tree next to it. So I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, that is the First Lady's official portrait. Every president and First Lady has an official portrait somewhere in the White House, and this is the one for Rosalind Carter. So if you guys would like to leave your condolences, you could always go to the RosalindCarterTribute.org and leave a kind word or a prayer. Rosalind Smith Carter, 1927 to 2023. Visit the Carter family's official online condolence book and tribute website. So again, it's the RosalindCarterTribute.org. And with that, you guys, I am done. Thank you so much for spending nearly 3 hours with Royal Sussex. And I hope you have been informed and even amused. Very important to do both. And also, again, happy birthday to Church Nellie. And who else's birthday was it? Dunlap, right? Ozell Dunlap, right? Happy birthday to you too. Happy belated birthday. But yeah, so it is officially Church Nellie's birthday. Okay, so thank you for the Cash App earlier. Let me see. Got a Cash App. Don't want to say the name, but thank you very much. And also, thank you all for your super chats and super stickers. TMCD, Elaine Parker, legs. I'm sorry, legs. YM Droid, legs. And Shelly L, thank you. And Shelly L, thank you very much. I'm sorry, TM. CD, thank you so much for your 8 months membership. Okay. All right. That is it then. Thank you all very much. I know I thought she was wonderful, Rosalind Carter. I thought she was wonderful. And I love what her grandson said, that before she elected her husband to governor and president, she had never spoke to a crowd much larger than her Sunday, the Sunday school. Yeah, she had never spoke to a crowd any larger than a Sunday school. But she was formidable. Very, very strong lady. You know, what's an interesting story? I did not know Jimmy Carter actually had spent quite a bit of his youth with a black family. When his parents would travel, they would leave him in the care of this elderly black couple who didn't have any children. And they had a farm that was either on the same property or near the Carter's farm. Um, and so Jimmy Carter spent a great deal of his youth eating from their table and doing chores around the house and on the farm and such. And the matriarch, the lady of the house, they didn't have any kids. The lady of the house, she was very much a prayerful woman who was known to give good advice and kind words to people in the community. But they were both very, very godly people. And so he attributed that upbringing as very important to how he lived his life. So it was just like he was going to his grandma's house. Yeah, I'd never heard about that before. That kind of makes me feel a bit more connected. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Stay safe and remain blessed as always. Thank you, Amelia Rodriguez. You know what? I think that sounds like a last word to me. All right. So like I say, I think that was the last one. All right, let's go. Oh, by the way, you guys, I am so proud of this thumbnail. Isn't that beautiful? I am so proud of that thumbnail. I think this is like one of the best ones that I've made in quite some time. Love it. Hello, Ivy here. Hello, Ivy. Today is Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor's birthday. Meet me at the Royal Sussex party. Church Nellie's gonna be there. All right, Ivy out. You know what? I have not come down from my high yet. As you know, why does Church Nellie's character have a drink? Huh? Why does Church Nellie's character has a drink? I just noticed that. All right, you guys. Good night, and good night. Love you all. See you tomorrow. Good night to our queens. Right? Gotta say good night to our queens. Let's hope that there is an official Sussex Christmas card. Looking forward to that. But otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow for sure. And let's pray that this fuss about the book doesn't cause any disruption to the Sussex's plans for the future, the near future, should I say. Let's hope that this does not create any disruption for them. All right. All right. I will see you all tomorrow. Love you guys. Good night.